From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Colorado is a very dog-friendly state. A recent study by Colorado State University found that if you're a pet owner in Colorado, there's an 80% chance that pet is a dog. Colorado is also known for being one of the first states to legalize cannabis. But dog lovers and legal weed appear to have created a growing trend that worries veterinarians. As cannabis has become more widespread and more potent, there's been a significant uptick in emergency calls for dogs who have ingested marijuana. The problem is even more complicated with edibles, which can be very enticing to a dog. Kate Reuter is a journalist based in Boulder. She recently wrote about this for the Colorado Sun. She first looked into it after a family member's dog had a bad experience after eating an edible.
In my case, it was my parents' dog, Benny.
Poor Benny.
So my parents, they took Benny out, who's a 40-pound Brittany Spaniel. They took him out for a walk and came back and just thought it was totally fine. And then Benny came in and immediately crawled into his dog bed and started to go to sleep, which was very unusual for Benny because he's a puppy. And so then Benny was just super lethargic and didn't want to do anything. And then usually takes a nap like up the stairs, but could not go up the stairs, could not walk, was stumbling around. And immediately they just were really worried, sick about Benny. Thought that he had something that was wrong, like neurologically with him.
I know I have a new puppy at home, and he will literally eat anything on the sidewalk that looks interesting. So I think there can be a tendency to kind of laugh off the idea of a dog being stoned, but we shouldn't laugh. How serious is marijuana intoxication for dogs?
I think that the cases of being fatal are few, but it does happen. But in general, it's scary for pet owners because it presents initially as something is really wrong neurologically with your dog. So your dog is vomiting or is stumbling around and can't walk or low heart rate, drooling. So those things are scary for pet owners.
Absolutely. And it's not just the THC that's harmful for dogs. A lot of people these days use edibles, which can be really tempting for dogs to kind of snap up. Just briefly, what is in edibles besides THC that can be bad for dogs?
Yeah, when I talked to Stacy Mayola, she is a veterinarian that is based in Wheat Ridge Animal Hospital. She's the associate medical director. She was one of the first to report an uptick in marijuana toxicosis in dogs in 2012, and she's been tracking it since. She said that, edibles are really appealing to dogs because they taste good, just the same reason they're appealing to people. I also spoke with Tina Wismer, who is with the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Poison Control. And she said that there's two other things in edibles that can be dangerous for dogs, and that's chocolate and xylitol. The chances of chocolate, like a large ingestion of chocolate, is probably pretty low, but it can be dangerous for smaller dogs. And same thing with xylitol.
I want to talk about what's behind this trend. You spoke with someone at the ASPCA Poison Control Center. This is a national hotline that answers all kinds of questions when people call in after their dogs ingest all kinds of things. What did they tell you about cases of marijuana intoxication in dogs?
Yeah, they said that beginning in 2019, they noted a large jump in calls. So in 2018, they had roughly 1,700 calls. And by 2023, they had 6,800 calls.
Wow.
And Tina Wismer, who's the senior director of toxicology there, said that with more states legalizing marijuana, this trend is likely to continue.
Beyond cannabis being widely available for a dozen years in Colorado, what else do these experts think is driving these really high numbers?
The experts that I spoke to think that it's also the lessening of stigma around marijuana. So as more states have legalized marijuana, more people are using it and are more likely to have cannabis in their home, which is also a source of ingestion for dogs or other pets.
We should note, too, we're not seeing huge numbers of cats with marijuana poisoning. Why is that?
No, they said that they do see some cases, but that cats are more attracted to the plant or bud form.
Sure. More like catnip, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of pet owners want to know what to look out for. What are the symptoms of marijuana intoxication in a dog?
Yeah. The experts that I talked to said the number one symptom is stumbling and walking around like they're drunk. Other symptoms include vomiting, glassy eyes, hyperactivity, drooling. But then also one of the most common symptoms is urinary incontinence. So the dogs just cannot hold their pee.
And the veterinarian you talked to just had a funny quip about that, I thought.
Yeah, she said that, this was Stacy Mayola. She said, I always joke that if 50% of humans peed all over themselves every time they did pot, it probably wouldn't be as popular of a recreational drug.
Certainly not in social settings.
No.
Kate, I think it's worth noting that even if a dog owner isn't a cannabis user themselves, their dog could still have ingested marijuana. You talked with Sarah, who had this very thing happen with her dog, Pickle. Was she surprised after she took Pickle in to learn what was wrong and how it happened?
The way she described it was that she took Pickle for a walk, and Pickle was off leash in Boulder County on a trail. And so Pickle went into some pine trees and came back, and Sarah didn't think anything of it. And then she went home. And then pretty soon after, Pickle started to get lethargic. And then by several hours later, just could not stand and was leaning his head back and forth. And she started to really worry about Pickle. Yeah. She rushed Pickle to the ER vet. And as soon as she walked in with Pickle, they said, have they ingested marijuana?
What should a dog owner do if they suspect their dog ate something like an edible? I mean, isn't this something that would just wear off?
Most experts say that dogs recover within 30 minutes to 4 days. So that's a pretty wide range.
Yeah.
And so it seems like the thing that you should do is call your vet if you suspect that anything is wrong and your dog has these symptoms. I think that most of the vets that I spoke to, they want to make sure that your dog is stable before they leave the veterinarian, so that their heart rate is okay, that they have enough fluids, that they look like they're recovering.
Okay.
Maybe some anti-nausea medications.
Well, lastly, Kate, what should we be doing to help keep our pets safe from ingesting marijuana?
When I talked to experts, they said that the best thing is just to treat marijuana like you would any other drug that you don't want your pets or your kids to get into. So keeping that safe and away from pets in your home. And then also keeping an eye on your dog when they're off leash or even when they're on leash in a park, because these things are around in public spaces.
That's Kate Reuter, a journalist based in Boulder who recently wrote about cannabis intoxication in dogs for the Colorado Sun. We'll include a link to her reporting in our show notes and at KUNC.org. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.